Astronomy in the news. There's been a whole bunch, again, of astronomy in the news over the past month. So we're going to zoom through it. First of all, Ceres. Those of you who are Astronomy on Tap regulars will know all about Ceres. If you don't, you can find Dr. Comet, who is standing right there, who gave a talk at Astronomy on Tap in April on this very subject. Ceres is a dwarf planet sitting in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The Dawn spacecraft did a flyby of it earlier this year and spotted these bright spots. You can see these in the top left here. These bright spots mystified a lot of people. Some of us said they were aliens. Some of us still want to say they're aliens. We now have better data from this Dawn spacecraft, and it appears that these bright spots are hydrated magnesium sulfates, which you may know as Epsom salts. So the Ceres has Epsom salt.
Next up, there was some work published recently about Mars and the moons around Mars. So for a while, astronomers have known that the innermost moon of Mars, Phobos, its orbit was shrinking, so it was going to probably crash into the planet at some point in the future. But a new study came out recently saying that sort of in the next 10 million years or so, it actually won't get all the way down to the surface. It'll get shredded apart as its orbit shrinks. And when you shred a moon around a planet, you get a ring system. So wait 10 million years and Mars will have a nice little ring system. In this artist rendering here, we see.
So we had a conversation about this afternoon, and I said, I'm not sure it'll be that bright, because Phobos is kind of small, and Jeff just said, artist rendering, artist rendering. So this is Pluto. We've been talking about Pluto a lot lately, as we keep saying. We're still getting data from New Horizons, and it gets higher and higher resolution as we get more and more data back from the spacecraft. And this resolution now is pretty incredible. You can see the scale on there of 6 miles. The resolution here is actually about 260 feet, I believe. So we actually have, that's per pixel. So you can see features here that are the size of half a city block. This is in Pluto, like right at the edge of the solar system. And there's so much cool stuff going on here. There's craters, mountains, there's glaciers. You should really go check this out on a screen with higher resolution and go play with it. It's really, really incredible images.
All right, next up we have a high school senior, Dominic Rowan from... There you go. He's got a cheering squad here. He's from Armonk, New York, and he was working with a UT astronomer. You and I know him as Dr. Bowtie, and they published a paper a couple of weeks ago saying that they found a new planet similar to Jupiter, and that these are actually kind of rare Jupiter-sized planets in this sort of orbit. So we have a picture of the orbit here, or an artist rendering of the orbit, comparing this new planet, this HD fella, to Earth and Jupiter. So very cool result. 2 dapper-looking fellows up there.
And speaking of awesome work done by UT astronomers, this was a recent result published by Dr. Natalie Gosnell, aka Dr. Double Trouble. She recently published this paper using the Hubble Space Telescope to study a star cluster NGC 188. She actually did the work, not the telescope, contrary to what you might have read in Forbes, although I believe that's since been updated. So she found these weird, rare, so-called blue straggler stars. They're formed by sucking material from their binary partner. We just heard most stars form in binaries. And so they puff up to become a red giant. Eventually, this red giant star burns out and becomes a little hot white dwarf. But the star that stole material has bulked up and become hotter and bluer than it was before, and voila, you have this blue straggler. And if you're thinking some of this sounds really familiar, it's because Dr. Double Trouble, Dr. Natalie Gosnell, talked about some of this work at Astronomy on Tap ATX number 7. You may remember her here. This is her as Dr. Double Trouble. And if you weren't there or you need a reminder, she's right here down on our info desk. If you do need a reminder of that, her talk is available on our YouTube channel under Astronomy on Tap ATX.
So here is a really cool galaxy cluster that I didn't even know existed until just a few weeks ago, known as the Cheshire Cat Galaxy Cluster, for obvious reasons. So what we have going on here is we've got this fuzzy balls of gas and dust and stars, the eyes and the nose here, are these galaxies sort of in the foreground in this cluster. And the curves, the arcs that make up the face, are background galaxies that are getting gravitationally lensed by the foreground eyeballs and nose. If this sounds familiar, our very own MC High-z gave a talk all about this last month, also on YouTube if you want to check that out. So it gives us this cool picture of the Cheshire Cat. The sort of red and blue colors that you see in the image are from the Hubble Space Telescope, and then that purplish fuzz in the middle is actually X-ray observations from NASA's Chandra X-ray satellite. This is a combination of optical light we see with our eyes and X-ray data, and that X-ray light, that purple fuzz in the middle, is coming from gas between the galaxies that's getting heated to millions of degrees. So, very pretty picture. I like Alice in Wonderland, so I put that in there.
So also related to the talk that I gave last month, you may remember I pointed out this supernova in a lensed galaxy. This was found in a cluster that's part of the Hubble Frontier Fields program that I'm working on, which was designed to look for very distant galaxies, but by complete surprise found this weird thing. There's these 4 dots here. These were not in previous images of this cluster. And this is a supernova. And because of gravitational lensing, which you're all experts in if you were here last month, we get multiple images of the supernova. So we see it 4 times here as the light has been bent around. This is a foreground galaxy in the middle. And I pointed out in my talk last month that we have this image of this galaxy, but there's multiple images of this galaxy because of the gravitational lensing effect. And there's another one right here in the center of the cluster. And what I said last month is people are predicting that we're going to see the supernova again, maybe first quarter of 2016, but they're just making that up because they want telescope time and it's going to be later than that. And you know what? I'm going to own that because I've been told I'm going to be quoted in Astronomy magazine. Turns out I was completely wrong, which is fine. This is an image from, I can't even read the dates, I think this is 2011. It's actually possible that this image was part of my Hubble Space Telescope program because I looked at this galaxy in 2011, but this is a screen grab from someone's computer because this result was found on like Friday, so it's not very high resolution. And I don't even know what filter it is. So you can see here, this is the positions of the 4 images of the supernova we've already seen. If you can't see anything there, that's because it wasn't there in 2011. We went back in 2015, and there's the 4 images here. This was first seen about a year ago, so it's faded a bit. The supernova's gone off. It's fading away. But there's now this new dot up here. And if you compare that to the image down here, there's a new speck that was not there before. So we think this is the long-awaited 5th image of this supernova. So they weren't making up their lens models. They were right. Actually, it's a bit earlier than anyone expected, so no one was quite right.
And last but not least, you might have heard this in the news recently. NASA is opening the astronaut program again. They are taking applications. It officially opened yesterday, so anybody with a bachelor's in a science field, 20/20 correctable vision, and between 5.2 and 6.2 can go ahead and apply. And U.S. citizens, so sorry, Rach.
I'm not American enough to do this, so I'm incredibly bitter.
So, I did this 4 years ago, when the last time they had an astronaut call, and I submitted my application this afternoon, and so you see the little screen grab up there. That is my application going into NASA. So you too can apply, perhaps, and we'll see.